The Detroit Lions decided against drafting an edge rusher in the first 3 rounds of the 2025 NFL Draft, taking a defensive tackle in round 1. They took a guard in round 2 and a wide receiver in round 3. And Brad Holmes did what he usually does after the draft and did his post-draft presser, a 16-minute press conference in which he was asked about the NFL Draft. And there's a specific 4 or 5 minutes in that press conference that Brad Holmes began to be asked about the pass rusher position, specifically the edge rusher. Now, I have been on this train since we drafted Aiden Hutchinson and beyond, 2023, 24, and 25. And Brad has really done nothing substantial in free agency when it comes specifically to the edge rushing position. We signed Marcus Davenport in 2024. He was hurt. He was already hurt in Minnesota. He was hurt again in Detroit. We re-signed him again. At the trade deadline, we had to make a move, and Brad Holmes said that it was the first time we had to trade for an edge rusher, and the best one available for trade was Za'Darius Smith. Well, we wind up cutting him because he was just too much money this year. And the Detroit Lions said that they're open to taking him back, but it's really, he talked to his agent, and they're waiting to hear from Za'Darius Smith. But my question to you is, did the Lions truly value Za'Darius Smith? Za'Darius Smith wind up having the most pressures and the most sacks in his time with Detroit of the entire team. Since he got here, he had the most pressures. He had the most sacks at 4.5, I believe it was. Aiden Hutchinson was the league leader, and he hadn't played in 3.5 months. Traded for a guy, cut said guy because he just was too much money. If I am Za'Darius Smith, after what I saw in the NFL Draft, but specifically what I heard from Brad Holmes today, yesterday's price ain't today's price. The price just went up. And me personally, I know y'all gonna hate this in the comment section, but that's okay. I would call Benedict Johnson, and I would see if he had any room for me because I want to complete my NFC North round table. The Lions could have had an edge rusher. Maybe it wouldn't be that bad. They literally had one, but they decided that they couldn't. It was too expensive to keep. But yet we signed a guy who Brad Holmes said that he hopes that his injury luck changes this year. That's what we got. But let's take a listen at Brad Holmes and his press conference right at the point where he is beginning to be asked about the edge rusher position. Let's check it out.
Ratledge.
Great question.
Yeah.
Were you tempted? Would the edge rushers go too quickly for you to make a move on that? And is that a little bit of a disappointment?
No, I wouldn't say it's a disappointment because we got all guys that we love. So, just like I told you guys before the draft, we could have drafted an edge rusher that plays that position. We could have done that. Y'all would have been happy, right? You guys would have been happy if we would have drafted an edge rusher that, huh?
If he was good.
That's it. That's it. All I hear is edge rusher, draft to edge rusher. And so I'm like, well, are you assuming that the guy is really good? Well, that's a whole different story. Can you get in position to get one of those? And, and look, there's, I don't need to get into specifics, but there's times where we made attempts to get one and you just, they got picked before, you couldn't get up, the team didn't. It takes two to trade. Or we just had another player higher. But we did the same thing that we do every draft. We picked the highest rated player regardless of position. So
now I've got to interject at that point because Brad Holmes said that they picked the highest rated player at that position. Okay? In the 2023 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions selected Broderick Martin, Western Kentucky. I didn't go back and look at the draft prospects and who was available. But for Broderick Martin to be the highest rated player at that position, by whom? Who did that? Just very curious. We talk about scouts and maybe they saw something. They thought they saw something that was there. I don't know. But see that? I don't know. But it gets good. And again, I really don't feel any type of way. I think between the crash out of day one and the realization of day two and going forward, I think I'm okay. But here's why I don't think, if I'm Za'Darius Smith, I don't come right back to Detroit.
Tomorrow. So, yes, we could have. There's some edge rushers still available. We don't have them ranked as high. You know what I mean? So we're just going to always get the best player.
Is it fair to say the search continues?
The search for an edge rusher? I mean, we're always going to look for edge rushers. I told you guys that. Yeah.
Like your ideal edge rusher, can you just define like the traits that you like in that position? What do I think we know receiver, right? Like that guy that blocks and that does everything in hand, all the things that you just explained about.
He's got to win rushes. You got to set edges. That's what he's got to do. However he's going to win rushes, whether it's through pocket, through long arming, if he can turn speed to power, if he has the instincts, if he had the craftiness with his hands, even if he does not have top juice, but you can still win rushes. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's why you guys keep asking about that position, right? Because it's like you look at like a Madden diagram, the arrows pointing up like an arrow is drawing. And it doesn't always work that way. That's not how the defensive end positions always play, just an arrow running a hoop. But, yes, he's got to win rushes and he's got to be able to set edges.
We always know that you look for a best player available. So given, how coveted edge rushers are, is there a scenario in which the Lions don't take an edge rusher in this draft?
If we don't, we don't. We're not gonna chase a position. The guy has to be a good player and that we love. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good players that other people might have higher. Might be, but we're not going to take a player that we don't value as high just because he plays a position. I've been telling you guys that forever. I don't know why. But, I mean, you guys keep asking a question because we had injuries last year, right? I just want to make that clear, right? Because we had injuries last year. That's why you guys keep...
We don't see as much depth at that position right now.
As much depth? Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Where are you going to find it if you don't draft?
We'll keep looking. I mean, we turn over every stone. There's other avenues in the player acquisition process, so it doesn't stop at the draft. So we'll see. But no, I mean, it's a fair statement. But I mean, just because you don't draft one doesn't mean. I mean, we got one last year, at the trade deadline. So, but that's not. It's more on the top of y'all's priority than it is on the top of our priority.
Is it fair to ask if?
And that's what I wanted you to hear. It's more on the top of y'all's, as in the person's asking the question, than it is on the Lions. It all boiled down to that. It's getting a edge rusher is more on our priority than theirs. Now you could argue and say, well, Derek, look what we had. We got to 15-2. We had all the injuries, and look where we got. And I hear you. And I raise you, is it good enough? Was that good enough? Or could we have gotten more? Ironically, the Los Angeles Rams added to their already vaunted defensive line. So, bringing back to Za'Darius Smith, if I'm Za'Darius Smith and I hear that statement that it's more a priority for we the fans, right? I took it as that, than it is for the Lions. I'm not sure I come back for a bargain. Maybe I raise the price, maybe I don't. I think he should get at least either whatever he's looking for, he should get, even if it's a multi-year deal or if it's more money for one. Whatever Za'Darius think he should get, I think he should get it, because it's clear that he values himself more than Brad Holmes values him and his position. So I would love to hear your dialogue in the comment section below. The Lions are not going to win a Super Bowl with a less than stellar defensive line, a mediocre defensive line. If we can get pressure, if Williams, Reeder, McNeil, Hutch, if those guys can get to the quarterback in the way that the Philadelphia Eagles could in the playoffs and the LA Rams could in the playoffs and the Denver Broncos could during the season, then we'll win a Super Bowl. If they can't, I'm not sure the offense is going to be enough to carry us. I want you to ask yourself this. Right now, is the team better on defense? And if so, put in the comment section how much. Is the team better on defense right now? We took one defensive player. But Brad Holmes made it very clear that his priority are best players available and good players at that position. I'm going to tell you something. I think that Aiden Hutchinson is a Detroit Lion, not because of his talent. I think his talent was a bonus. I think Hutch is a Detroit Lion because Hutchinson is Hutch. The motor, the skill set. He is, it's not necessarily the talent. The talent was second. It's the man first. That's what I think. Which is why I've said this for quite a long time, that whether or not Mike Green, whatever situation he was in, the Lions weren't going to take him, just like they weren't going to take Jalen Carter 2 years ago. Now that's been proven. So I'm going to still make pass rusher videos because that's what people like to see. But it's clear to me so far, 5 drafts in, that he doesn't, well, it's not clear, he said it, that the pass rush is more of a priority for us than it is for them from the edge rusher position. Man, we hit record numbers in days 1 and day 2 of the NFL draft. We have set new record highs for both days. Fantastic. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.